Your dog leans in for a kiss and it hits you. A smell that is not food, not the usual dog breath, something sharper, almost like the inside of a bathroom. That exact smell has a name, and in a small number of dogs, it means the kidneys are already struggling to keep up. You have probably smelled your dog's breath 100 times and shrugged it off as just dog stuff. For almost every dog, that shrug is the right call. But there is one specific version of that smell most owners have never learned to recognize, and by the time they notice it, it has usually been building for a while. Here is the mix-up that trips up almost every dog owner. Some people panic the second they catch a whiff of anything unpleasant, assuming the worst. Others wave off every single smell as normal dog breath, even the one that was actually trying to tell them something. Both mistakes come from the same gap. Nobody ever taught them what each smell is actually doing inside the dog's body, and that gap is exactly what closes in the next few minutes. If you felt a small twist of guilt just now, wondering whether you should have noticed sooner, let that go. Almost nobody is taught to smell their dog's breath on purpose. Most owners only catch it by accident, mid-cuddle, mid-yawn, mid-enthusiastic greeting at the door. There was no manual you skipped. The fact that you are here, paying attention to something this small and this easy to dismiss, already puts you ahead of most dog owners. Noticing is the skill. It is not a failure that you are only learning this now. So let's start with the myth that causes most of the confusion in the first place. A lot of people believe bad breath is simply what dog mouths do. Nothing to be done about it, just part of owning a dog. That belief exists because almost every dog has some odor, and because the buildup that causes most of it happens so gradually that it starts to feel like baseline biology instead of something treatable. It is not. Healthy dog breath sits close to neutral, maybe a little meaty, not sharply foul. A strong, persistent bad smell is almost always dental disease, and dental disease responds well to home care. Here is the part that matters for tonight, though. The opposite mistake is just as common, and it is the one this video is really about. Some owners hear the word kidney and assume any strong bad breath must mean something is failing inside. That is not how it works either. The ammonia smell tied to kidney trouble is a late finding, and it never shows up by itself. It always travels with company. Understanding that difference is what keeps you from panicking over an ordinary Tuesday, and just as importantly, from dismissing a real pattern when it actually shows up. To see why the smells are so different, it helps to know what is actually happening underneath each one. And there really are only two things going on. The first is dental, and it is the boring, common one, which is good news because boring means fixable. Food debris and bacteria build a soft film on the teeth called plaque. Saliva minerals hit that film, and within days it hardens into tartar, the crusty stuff you can sometimes see along the gum line. Bacteria living under that tartar, below the gum line, break down debris and release sulfur compounds as a byproduct. Those sulfur compounds are the sour, rotten smell you already know as classic dog breath. Picture sugar left out on a kitchen counter, sticky at first, then crusty and stubborn if nobody ever wipes it down. That is tartar, just given time to sit. The second chain is kidney-driven, and it works completely differently. Healthy kidneys filter urea, a waste product left over from protein breakdown, out of the bloodstream and into urine, all day, every day, without you ever thinking about it. Picture the kidneys as a coffee filter for the blood, catching the grounds, letting the clean liquid through. When a large share of that filtering capacity is lost, urea starts backing up into the bloodstream instead of leaving the body, a state with a name, uremia. Some of that extra urea reaches the saliva, and bacteria in the mouth convert it into ammonia, which is where that sharp, urine-like smell comes from. This chain only turns into a smell you can notice once the filtering loss is already fairly advanced. That is the whole reason it never shows up alone. It always arrives with roommates. And that is where most guessing goes wrong, because one clue by itself is nearly useless. Think of a single strange smell like one puzzle piece sitting alone on a table. On its own, it could be almost anything. It only starts to mean something specific once a few more pieces show up next to it. And that is exactly the mindset to carry into the next part of this. Let's talk about what you can actually notice in your own dog, starting with the version that is completely ordinary, because most of what you are picking up on probably belongs here. A steady, sour, or rotten smell that has been building for weeks or months, often paired with visible brown or yellowish crust along the gum line and a little redness in the gums, is common. genuinely common, in most adult dogs who have not had regular brushing. That is dental, not organ-related, and it is fixable starting tonight. What is worth paying closer attention to is a change in the character of the smell. Not just how strong it is, but what it actually smells like. Sharp instead of sour, chemical instead of rotten, almost like the inside of a freshly cleaned bathroom rather than old food. That specific texture is the one clue that is actually different from ordinary tartar breath, and it is the one worth noticing on its own merits, even before anything else changes. On its own, though, remember, that is still just one piece. The companion signs are what turn a smell into a real pattern. Increased thirst and urination is often one of the earliest. The water bowl draining faster than usual, more requests to go outside, or, and this catches a lot of owners off guard, indoor accidents in a dog who was never like that before. Appetite and weight changes matter too. Eating less, getting picky about food that used to disappear in seconds, looking a little thinner over a few weeks despite normal feeding, sometimes paired with occasional vomiting, especially in the morning. Low energy that lingers is another piece. Not one tired afternoon after a long walk, but several days in a row of a dog who seems flatter than usual, less interested in the leash coming out. And less commonly noticed, but worth knowing about, a dry, tacky feeling in the mouth, or small sores on the tongue or gums in more advanced cases. Here is the rule to actually carry with you. One of these signs by itself, even the ammonia smell by itself, rarely means kidney trouble on its own. Tartar breath alone is almost always dental, full stop. It is that sharp ammonia smell layered together with two or more of the companion signs, more water, more bathroom trips, less appetite, less energy, that is worth a prompt call to the vet. Not a panic, a call. If you have been mentally checking your own dog off against that list while watching, you are doing exactly what this video is for. And if what you are noticing really is just the ordinary version, plain old tartar breath with none of the companion signs, stick around, because the fix for that starts in just a few minutes and it is simpler than you might think. If knowing the difference between those two smells just took a little weight off your shoulders, that is worth a comment telling me what your own dog's breath smells like right now. Sour, sharp, or somewhere in between. Subscribing costs nothing and just means you catch the next one of these before you need it. And a like helps this reach an owner who is currently shrugging off a smell they should not be shrugging off. None of that is required to keep watching. It just helps more dogs get noticed sooner. Before we get there, quickly, because this part matters and it does not get said enough. If your dog is drooling more than usual or refusing to eat, and it started around the same time as a smell change, that combination on its own is worth a same-day conversation with your vet, not a wait and see. Lethargy that does not lift after a day of rest, especially alongside more drinking and more urinating, is not something home care resolves. None of what is coming in this video, no toothbrush, no water additive, no chew, treats, or diagnoses kidney disease. That decision and any blood work or urine testing that goes with it belongs to your vet. Home care handles the common cause. The uncommon cause needs a professional to actually confirm it, because smell alone, even the right smell, is not a diagnosis. So if smell alone is not a diagnosis, what actually is? Probably the same question you were just asking yourself about that ammonia note and the extra trips to the water bowl. And here's the part most people miss. What you're noticing rarely stands on its own. A sign like this usually travels with a few others. Small things in your dog's day that only start to make sense once you see them together as one picture. Maybe it is water bowl habits. Maybe it is energy at the end of the day. Maybe it is something in appetite you have half noticed but never written down. If you are not sure how the pieces fit together for your own dog, or which one to actually start with, we made a free 2-minute quiz that maps your dog's bigger picture and shows you where to begin. The link is in the pinned comment, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Take it after this video though, because the most useful part, the part where we actually walk through what to do, is still coming. Picture a dog like Ranger, an older Labrador mix, the kind who greets everyone at the door like it is the best moment of his life. His owner noticed the ammonia smell almost as an afterthought, mentioned it in passing during a routine vet visit. Nothing dramatic. On its own, that smell would not have raised much concern. But paired with a few weeks of Ranger draining his water bowl faster than usual, and a little weight coming off despite eating the same amount, it was enough to prompt blood work. The panel showed reduced kidney function, consistent with early chronic kidney disease, caught relatively early because of the pattern, not because of the smell by itself. With a management plan from his vet and regular monitoring, Ranger has continued to do reasonably well since. Not every ammonia smell ends this way, and not every case responds the same. That is worth saying honestly. But the pattern is what moved things forward in time for him, and that is the whole point of learning to read it. Which brings us back to what you can actually do tonight, starting with the part that handles almost every case of bad breath you will ever run into. Daily brushing is, honestly, the single most effective thing you can do against dental odor. More effective than most owners expect from something so simple. Use a toothpaste made specifically for dogs, enzymatic if you can find it, and never human toothpaste, which can contain xylitol, a sweetener that is genuinely dangerous for dogs even in small amounts. For small dogs, a pea-sized amount on a finger brush works well. Focus on the outer surface of the back teeth, where tartar tends to build fastest. Medium dogs do well with a similar amount and a standard dog toothbrush, aiming for 2 to 3 times a week at minimum, daily if you can manage it. Large dogs need slightly more paste. Same frequency and a bigger brush head just makes the whole thing faster. Give it 1 to 2 weeks of consistency before judging the results. That is usually enough time to notice a real difference in the smell. If your dog treats the toothbrush like a personal insult, and plenty of dogs do, water additives are a solid backup, not a replacement, a backup. Enzymatic or chlorhexidine-based formulas added to the water bowl daily, dosed exactly to what the label says, help reduce the bacteria behind plaque between brushings. Introduce it gradually, since a few dogs are oddly particular about any change in how their water tastes. Dental chews, sized correctly for the dog, matter more than people think and less than the marketing suggests. Small breed chews for dogs under 20 pounds, medium for 20 to 50, large for anything bigger, offered 2 to 3 times a week rather than daily, since a good number of these chews are more calorie-dense than they look. The physical scraping action helps knock loose plaque off before it has the chance to harden into tartar. For the lower effort extras, raw carrot or celery sticks a few times a week give a little mechanical cleaning for dogs who genuinely enjoy crunchy vegetables. Cut to a size that suits your dog and always supervised. A small dab of coconut oil worked onto a chew toy or added to food a few times a week is popular for mild antibacterial properties, though the evidence behind it is limited, so treat it as a minor extra, never as something that replaces brushing. None of this treats kidney disease. Say it again if you need to. None of this treats kidney disease. It handles the common cause, the one behind the vast majority of bad dog breath you will ever encounter. If the smell you are dealing with is sharp, chemical, ammonia-like, and it is showing up alongside more thirst, more bathroom trips, weight loss, vomiting, or low energy, the next move is not the toothbrush. It is a phone call to your vet for blood work and a urine test. Here is the number that makes all of this click into place. By the time uremic breath or increased thirst becomes something an owner actually notices, a large share of kidney function, often described as most of it, has typically already been lost. That is not meant to scare you. It is meant to explain why the pattern matters so much more than waiting for one obvious smell to show up on its own. Catching the companion signs early, before the smell is unmistakable, is what buys the most time for a vet to actually do something with. There is a pattern worth naming honestly in the pet industry, and it runs in 2 opposite directions. Dental chews get marketed with vague wellness language that conveniently never mentions brushing is still required, almost as if the chew alone solves periodontal disease on its own. On the other side, kidney support supplements get sold with urgent, dramatic language implying they can reverse kidney damage, marketed hardest to owners who are already frightened, sometimes by exactly the kind of title that brought you to this video. Neither one is telling you the whole truth. A chew cannot replace a toothbrush, and no supplement on a shelf reverses kidney function that has already been lost. That particular idea sells bottles to worried owners. It does not serve the dog. The honest version is a lot less flashy. Brushing works, and it is cheap. Real kidney concerns need blood work and an actual plan from your vet, not a label promising a fix. If plain tartar breath gets ignored long enough, it does not stay a cosmetic problem. The plaque hardens further and pushes down under the gum line, causing gum recession and periodontal disease, which is painful even when your dog does not show it clearly. Dogs are frustratingly good at hiding mouth pain. Chronic infection down there can let bacteria slip into the bloodstream repeatedly, and there is a recognized link between long-term dental disease and added strain on other organs, including the heart and kidneys, building over years. Separately, if uremic breath is present and gets brushed off, the kidney disease underneath keeps moving forward. Since chronic kidney disease tends to run in one direction, management can slow it, it rarely reverses it, and a delayed diagnosis shrinks the window where slowing it down actually works best. Mouth health never really stays contained to the mouth. Chronic dental infection has been linked to added inflammatory load that can affect the heart valves and, over time, kidney filtration itself. So a genuinely neglected mouth can quietly feed into the exact kind of organ strain this whole video has been warning about. It runs the other way too. Kidney disease often changes appetite and hydration, which dries out the mouth and shifts its bacterial balance, sometimes making dental problems harder to manage in a dog who is already dealing with reduced kidney function. Taking care of the mouth was never just a cosmetic habit. It is one thread connected to the whole dog. One more practical thing before we wrap up. If you are starting several of these habits at once, brushing, a water additive, a new chew, introduce them one at a time, spaced a few days apart rather than all in the same week. That way you can actually tell which change is making the difference. It keeps a dog who dislikes new textures near the mouth from getting overwhelmed all at once. And it avoids stomach upset from a new chew landing at the same time as a diet change. A simple rhythm works well, brushing daily as the constant, one new product trialed for a week before you add the next one. It is the kind of routine that actually survives past day 3, which, if we are honest, is where most good intentions quietly die. By around age 3, most dogs already show some sign of dental disease, which is exactly why tartar is the smart first guess for almost any bad smell you notice. Kidney disease affects a much smaller share of dogs overall, rising mostly with age, which is part of why uremic breath as a genuine kidney signal is comparatively rare next to ordinary dental odor. That rarity is good news. It just means the smell alone was never the whole test. The pattern always was. So here is where that leaves you tonight. Go smell your dog's breath on purpose, maybe for the first time ever. If it is sour and steady, that is tartar, and the toothbrush handles it starting now. If it is sharp and chemical, ammonia-like, do not panic on the spot, but do watch the next few days for water bowl habits, bathroom trips, appetite, and energy. And if 2 or more of those line up with the smell, that is the moment for a vet call, not a home remedy. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of clear-headed, no-panic explanation. And that free quiz is still sitting in the pinned comment or the QR code on screen whenever you are ready for it. Whatever you find tonight, ordinary tartar breath or something worth a call to the vet, you are already doing the part that matters most, paying attention. Go give your dog a scratch behind the ears, maybe skip the kiss on the mouth just this once, and take it from there.